Welcome back to another Adilas training. What we have for you today is naming conventions for parent attribute categories. I'm going to refer to them as tags throughout this process, and I'll explain why in just a little bit. It just helps with the most use case of we use it for e-commerce most of the time, and so that's what I'm going to refer to throughout this training. But just knowing you can name it whatever you would like to. We're going to go over tag categories, individual tags, and how to add them to items, and then how to make sure that they're displaying the e-commerce. And we'll probably merge those as we talk about things, but those will be the things that we're going to cover today. So let's go ahead and go over naming conventions. So we're going to go on Classic Links, System Management, Manage Corp Info and Permissions. We're going to come into Corp-wide Settings. You're going to go down to number 46. Right here, parent attribute categories, naming conventions. And so what this is this is just internal system use, but it's a plural of categories, a singular category, a plural of attributes, and then a single attribute. And so another way of naming that is tag categories, tag category, tags, and tag. So once you've named it, however you want to name it for your corporation, and remember that this is for internal use, so it doesn't show up in e-commerce. This is just how you guys use this tagging, categorizing convention. So if you want to use it for e-commerce tags, you name it e-commerce tags. If you want it to be parent attributes and kind of just keep it all internal inside the system, you can name it whatever you want. Quick tip, you can put your cursor into a text field and press enter. Otherwise, you have to go all the way down to the bottom of the page to submit it. We're going to go back to our starting page, and we're going to jump into the tag categories. So here's how you get to it. Parts homepage. More options. Add, edit, tag categories. So you can add a new tag. We're not going to add a new one today, but we're going to run over one that we've already created, and it should work similarly. So we're just jumping back. And right now we have a couple of different tag categories. We have brand, candy, prices, or price, screen size, and 3 of these show up in laptop, and one of them shows up in candy. And that's because we've changed the category list so that it only includes that certain category. But let's jump in and we'll show you. So we've named it brand, and this shows up in e-commerce. Just really quickly to show you, we'll come on down, brand. This is the category that it's limited to, and you have a category builder, so we're gonna just quickly press on a couple of them that we want it to show up in just for fun. And so it creates what categories everything underneath here shows up in. We'll keep it here. And we're going to come down. You can select a different color for it if you'd like to color code certain categories. You can select an icon. You just click on this button and it will show you all the available icons that we have. Just go ahead and select the first little bit of a text. If it has the word Adilas, just leave that. You want just this part. And you'll stick it right in there. This also shows up in the e-commerce, so we'll show you right here. Sort order, and then whether or not it's active. And that's really the gist of our category. It's really just a grouping convention for particular types. So something really quickly, just to help us out with the category list. You can see that we have all these different categories, and we're going to quickly set this up for the first 5. And I'm going to select a new input. It really doesn't matter what this is because we're just trying to show you a concept of the category. So I can have this one show up in just the first 3. And I can have this one show up in the last 2. So now I have this tag category that's only available to certain categories within the system, item categories within the system, but then my tags are only available for specific categories within those categories. And so it's a really cool tool. what you can do is you can actually just say all here. And then down here, you can specify what categories you want it to be in. Anyways, take a minute to think about that. It's a really, really awesome tool. It helps you limit down the tags so that you don't have every single tag on every single item. Really, really neat feature. We're not going to save because I don't want to save some of these things. So we're just going to go over individual tags and their use case and different things like that. So we have two different tags right here. We're just going to go over this one really quickly, and then I'll show you all the available tags and how they function. So what this one is called brand, and brand never shows up. This is an internal use piece. For toggles, that is different, but for every other tag, that's the case use. So we select this one as a drop down, and this one we've created a drop down list, and we separate it with the little bar character that's right above the arrow key. So it's just a little pipe that goes in the middle of those guys. This is whether or not the thing is required. So this drop down is required. You can't move on without it. I have to have some kind of a tag. Show on the web, search on the web. This is really important for e-commerce. In fact, let's cover that right now. The two things you need for e-commerce, making it visible in e-commerce, is the category to be shown on the web and the individual tag to be shown on the web. Without those two, it can't show up in e-commerce. And then the second part is that you need it attached to an item, which we will cover later. Again, you can put it into specific item categories so that only those items within those categories have these tags available to them. We can view some more icons, add an icon. This icon will not show up in the e-commerce. It's just kind of in for internal use. Sort option and a status. And that's the same for all the different ones, but we'll just really quickly go over all the different tag types. So you have a drop down and a text input. You have a number input. You have a number drop down, and you have a toggle. The text input and the number can have defaults. So I can set this right here, and I will always get this number whenever I go to tag an item. Or I'll always get this text as a default when I go to tag an item. I can create a drop down, so I can say 3 pipe character, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. You have to have numbers in here. If I do go here, and I select that option, it will throw an error for me, and it won't allow me to continue. It allows you to build it here because you're just building a drop down where when you go set the tags on the individual items, it actually makes a database entry, and so these numbers are requiring you to be a number. Toggles can allow defaults, but it's a 1 or a 0. It's going to ignore anything else that you give it. That's the basics right now. Let me quickly jump over to show you candy type. So candy type is a toggle. Just wanted to show you that. And I'll be able to show you that when we go to the individual items. But first I wanted to show you all the different options that you're able to have with the tag categories. So this is the category I've created. It's called Test All Types. And so what it has is every single type of tag you can have. So a drop down required, text value with a default, and a text value required. We have a number drop down that's required, a number with a default, a number that's required, toggle, default, toggle, and a toggle required. Now we're going to go see what all these test items look like on an individual item. So we're going to go over here, we're going to go to parts homepage, we're going to select candy. And this one's not specific to any category, so I can actually get it on any one of them. We're just going to select caramel squares. Come on down. And this is how you add it to these tags to an item. But mostly what I'm trying to show you in this one is what they look, all the different types look like outside when you're tagging an item. So there's a drop down. I can hurry and press submit, but it says, hey, you need to fill out some items. And that's what the required does, is it kind of forces you to fill out those fields, which is nice if you require that. So let's go to number drop down. This one will cause an error. We won't make that happen today, but just letting you know, if you put text in there, it will cause a problem. So this is again another drop down. This drop down is required. This drop down is also required, but it's text. We can put in a number. A really key thing with numbers is once you create a tag with a number, you always have to have a number in it. We recommend just putting 0 in there, but you're always required to have a number. So if I put a number here and I want to take it off, when I come back in, I just have to put a 0 there because it won't allow me to have a blank. Not for the numbers anyways. So that's why we recommend text fields. So just to let you know, text will allow you to have a blank, numbers won't. So just kind of decide how that use case works out for your corporation and then use it accordingly. So we'll hurry and fill this out. This is required. We'll leave that one blank. We'll leave that one there. See, these are our defaults that got pulled in for this specific corporation. So we're going to put this one, because it's required. This is a toggle that's a default, so it's a 1, which means it's checked. And that's really the only default you want to use for this, because 0 or anything else will just leave it blank. And so we'll click that off. It's required. And we'll submit it. We'll come on down, and this is how it lists itself with our testing ones. So let's go do some real ones with like real tags. These are just your different tag types. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go tag some items. So we're going to tag both candy and laptops. So let's go here and let's go to candy. We're going to come down here and we're going to do hot tamales. We're going to edit it. We're going to see if it has any tags. It doesn't have any tags put on yet, so we're just going to click here. And we've got candy type. And I'm going to put it as a gummy. And we're going to submit it. And then when I come down, it's going to show candy type as gummies. So gummies are on. You can view this on the... So you can view your tags on the full and on the customer view. Just to let you know, a couple of different places you can see the tags. Right now, those are the only spots. So just to let you know. Now we're going to go over and we're going to add another tag onto a laptop. Now something just to point out before that, let's jump back just a little ways. You notice that I only get candy type here. I click in and I still only get candy type here. So when I go and I add a laptop, a tag to a laptop, let's just choose this one. Looks like this one's already been listed. I don't get candy type. That's that category list. You can filter it so that it doesn't show up where it shouldn't. I don't need a candy type tag here. So I made sure that it didn't show up in this category. So what we're going to do is we're going to click in, and these are, instead of toggles, they're drop downs because I only have one brand, price, and screen size that I need to choose from, and I've made them required. So I can't leave this page. So if I go like that, I can't leave the page without submitting it. Or selecting one. And just because I don't want to change that, I'm going to hurry and refresh the screen. Oh, it didn't like me. Back to current item. We're just going to go in here so we don't ruin it. Okay, so it has an HP, and we have our price range, and we have our screen size. And so you're able to select those different ones. And since this one only has one of each, they are the drop downs, and it works very effectively. Anyways, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.